Begin today the Gemara on Daf Kuf Samachei Amar Aleph, 4 lines down from the top of the Amud, where it says Rab Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, quoting from the Mishnah in the beginning of the Perek that discusses the two kinds of documents, a get poshet and a get makusher, the regular document and the tie document. So the Mishnah there said that difference in the halachas between them, and then it said Rab Shimon ben Gamliel Omer Akel Keminig Hamadina, that you follow the minig of the country regarding this, the get poshet and the get makusha. So now the question is, what does Rab Shimon Gamliel mean by this? Is there anybody that argues in this? Seemingly, if it makes sense, what you always follow in writing a document, you go by the minig. Why would anyone argue on this? It says the Gemara, V'tana kama lesle minig Medina. It's only Rab Shimon Gamliel that holds of this. The Tana Kama does not hold of minig Medina. The Tana Kama never said anything about minig Medina. He just described what is the difference, the way Chachamim instituted to write these two kinds of documents. But shouldn't he agree to the concept of minig Medina? Ravashi, so Ravashi explains, no, there is argument here, and he explains as follows: Ba'asre denihigi poshet, or the Bach says biposhet, in a place where the custom is to use a regular document, v'amalei, and the person that wants this document written for him said, avidli poshet, write for me the document that's a regular document. V'azol v'avid le'mekusha, and he went and made for him the shtar mekusha. So kipeda. So obviously, when this person said, make for me a regular document, he was particular about this. That's the minig here, and that's what he asked for. So if you make a shtar mekusha, then you can't use that. Nihigi mekusher, if the custom here is to use the tie document, v'amalei avidli mekusha, and he says, write me a shtar mekusha, v'azo avidli poshet, and he went and he made a poshet and kepeda. That means he also obviously is particular about this. This is the minig, and this is what he asked for. Now, this could be relevant for a shtar that was written for a money matter, or even more severely, more strictly. This could be the get to a get, when a person appointed a shliach to go and give a get to his wife, and he went and gave a get different than what he said. So then the divorce will not take effect at all, right? And she'll still be an eshes ish. Ki pligi. So where's the machlekes here between the Tana Kama and Rab Shimon Gamliel? Ba'asre denihigi b'poshet u'mekosher. In a place where there's a custom in both ways. Some make regular get, some make the tied get. And he tells this person that's writing a get, for example, a get for a divorce, Avid li poshet, write for me a regular document. V'azal, and this person that he's hiring and appointing to do this, Avid li mekusher, went and made a tie document. So what happens in such a case? So Marsova, the Tana Kama in such a case holds kepeda, that because he said, write for me a poshet, that means that he was particular. He wanted dafka that kind of a get. So if he did something else, and if he gave it to his wife, the get will not take effect. But Amar Sova, Rab Shimon Gamliel holds, Mare Mokem Hu Loi. He was just simply telling him one of the options, because it's a minig in this place to do like this and like that. So he was only telling him one of the options, but he could do another option as well. Now the Rashbam here adds a svara and says that he told him to make him the regular document. And the reason why I told him that is because he figured, I'll make it easier for you. A get makusha is more complicated. So he gave him the easier option. What's if the shliach wants to take his time and maybe get some experience and make the more complicated document? That's your choice, but I'm just giving you the easier option. That's what the Rashbam says. It's mashma from the Rashbam. The Ritva says that if it would be the opposite. If the person says, in this place where there's a minig to make both, mekusher or poshet, and this person comes and says, I want you to make me the get mekusher, which is more complicated, then that means that he's makbid. You can't really use the svara of Mara Makam that I was just giving you one of the two options. Why did he choose the more complicated option? So it sounds like that here is being makbid. That's according to the Rashbam. Now, Omar Abaye said, based on this, Rab Shimon Gamliel, Virab Shimon, Virab Elazar, these three Tanoim, Kulu Svirulahu, they all have the same opinion here regarding this subject, that Mare Mokum Hulai, that we say this concept that sometimes when a person says something, even though he said it explicitly, but nevertheless, based on the context that he's saying it, we understand that he's only saying it, he's showing you an option, a place and how you can do it, but it doesn't have to be dafka like that. Rab Shimon Gamliel held Amaran, as we just explained, regarding the person that says, write me a shtar poshet, but it's not necessarily a poshet, he can do a shtar makusha as well. Rab Shimon, the case of Rab Shimon is the Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, this is in Masechta Kedushin, where it speaks about Kedushin, where a person says, a woman says, or a man says to a woman, I'm being Mekadesh you with a dinner of a silver dinner. And instead, he gives her a gold dinner. So what's going to be the halach in such a case? He actually gave her something more valuable than what he himself said. So she accepted it as a silver dinner, but he ended up giving her something more. So Rav Shimon says on this case, Rav Shimon Omer, im hitol l'shvach, if he told her he's giving her silver and he ended up giving her gold, which is better quality, harezim mukadeshes, she'll be mukadeshes. Because over here he only gave her better. If he gave her less than what he said he's going to give her, that's a problem. The Tanakama there in that Mishnah says that it doesn't matter whether you give better, whether you give gold instead of silver or silver instead of gold. Either way, you didn't do what you said you're giving. She didn't get what she wanted to, what she heard that she's getting. So then she's not going to be Mekadeshes. But Rav Shimon says that when she says that she's ready to accept silver, that's Maramokim, meaning it's not lav dafke, at least the value of silver. If it's gold, it's also good. So you see Rav Shimon holds of this concept. Rabbi Lazar, where do we see Rabbi Lazar holds of this concept? The Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Ha'isha sha'amra, a woman that says to a shliach that she sends to go and pick up the get for her, Hiskabali giti mi mokim ploini. I want you to receive my get on my behalf. Where? In this particular place. She said mokim ploini, this place. The kiblei law, and this shliach received the get for her mi mokim acher, from another place, in a different location. Puzzle. The Tanakama says it's puzzle. Because when she says a specific place, then we say that she's particular about it. Maybe there's one location that she's embarrassed. She doesn't want people to see and know that she's getting divorced. She wants it to be done in a different location, maybe where she won't be as embarrassed. Rabbi Lazar says even if the shliach changes locations, it's fine. It's because Umar Sova, the Tanakama holds Kepeda, and Umar Sova, and Rabbi Lazar says no, she's not particular. Mara Mokim Huloi, that she's just giving him the option. She's saying to him, okay, you can go to this and this place, which is closer, and get the get. And he went further. So because he went further, I gave you the option to make it easier for you. But if you went further, so then it's not. She's not makbid about this. Going back to the Mishnah, it said in the Mishnah regarding the two kinds of documents that Pashul Chekasav Boy Eid Echad in the regular shtar. If you have only one Eid that's signed in it, then it's going to be Pasul. You have to have two Eidim, and then in the Mukusher, in the Thai document, you have to have at least three Eidim. So if only two Eidim signed, it's also going to be Pasul. Frag the Gemara, Bishleim in Mukusher Chekasav Boy Shnei Eidim Pasul. So now it's understood when the Mishnah has to come and tell us that if you have a Thai document that has only two Eidim signed, Pasul, that this would be Pasul Itzderich. It's necessary for the Mishnah to teach me this. Because I would think to say, Hoyel, Uba'al Mekosher, because since usually we always just require two Eidim. So Hachanami Kosher, I would think that with the Shtar Mekosher, it's also Kosher. Kamash Malon the Pasul. That's what the Mishnah is saying, that it's Pasul, you have to have three witnesses. When the Mishnah says that if you have a regular document that only one Eid is signed in it, that it would be Pasul, Pshita. It's obvious that it's Pasul. The whole inyan of a get, of a shtar, is the Eidim, the koyach of the Eidim that are signed in it. And Eidim is always two. So why would the Mishnah have to clarify that one Eid in a get or a shtar is Pasul? Abaye answers, Lo nitzrecha. The Mishnah, the halach of the Mishnah is only needed for the following. Even if you have one Eid that's signed in it, and ve'ed echad bepeh, and another Eid that's there, and that can come now and testify verbally about what he saw. So you have, let's say, a document of a loan, and one Eid signed this document of the loan, and then you have another Eid that can come to the Beis Din and tell us verbally that he saw this loan happened. Even in such a case, so now you have two to combine, not both in the shtar, but you can combine them, but nevertheless it's going to be pasul. Now what this is relevant for is, as the Rashbam says, as we know, there's a big difference between a loan that's documented or a loan that's not documented, and you just have Eidim that are telling you verbally what happened here. A loan that's documented, the lender can come and collect from what's called nechasim ushubadim, from properties from the borrower that were already sold off. Another thing, if you have a loan that's documented, then if the borrower will try to deny this loan, the lender takes out the document and says, here, I have this document. If it's true that you paid me, why didn't you take away the document from me? The fact that I still have the document in my hand proves you never paid. But you only say that by a proper document with two Eidim. A document that has one Eid in it, and then you're using the other Eid verbally to testify about this, such a kind of document will not serve as this kind of proof, because the borrower will say, it only has one Eid. That's why I never bothered taking back the document when I paid you. Okay, that's so now just another detail on this. There's a huge discussion in Rishonim about this. Taisus talks about this. Just one point there, that Okay, it actually goes, on the next piece of the Gemara. Let's see. The Gemara continues. Ameimar. Now, Ameimar argues with this. Ameimar achsher, he did say that it will be kosher, be'edechad b'ksav, be'edechad al peh. When you have a star that only one aid signed in it, and you're combining it with another aid that's testifying that I was there. You're just saying verbally. You could combine these two and it will be a kosher star, which means the halachas that I mentioned before, you can collect with it from the chasim Shabbatim. It's a regular star. Okay, so here is where all the Rishonim discuss and ask, how could it be a regular star? Even if you combine these two edus, but you have to have edus. Edus is in a star. Usually the halacha is you can't have edus written. There's a pasuk that says, "Mi piem v'loy mi pik savam." When edim testify, they have to testify verbally. They can't write what they testify. But star is different. By star, when you have two edim in a star, so v'yer chacham or masakin or whatever the basis is, dafka when you have two edim written in a star, then they're kosher. But if you only have one eid in the star and one eid verbally, that one eid in the star that's only writing his testimony should be puzzle. How does this one eid in the star become kosher? There's many different answers in the Rishonim for this. One of the pshatim that Taisus over here says is that what Ameim was saying here is not that you have one aid that's testifying in the shtar and then another aid that's coming and saying, oh, I was there when the loading happened. And I can tell you that this person actually borrowed money. The Eid Echad Bal Peh is an Eid Echad regarding the shtar. He was there when the shtar was given over from the borrower to the lender. The Mesira, the giving over of the shtar. That's what the Bal Peh is. So the Eid Echad Bal Peh is also an Eidos regarding this shtar. He was there when the shtar was written. He was there when the shtar was given over to the Mesira. Be'ikr, that's the main thing. He was there when the shtar was given over to the lender. So therefore it will combine as if it's two Eidim that are signed in a shtar. Amalei Ravashi la Meimar. Ravashi said to Meimar, what are you going to say to what Abaya said? Abaya said that when you have one aid in the shtar and one aid that's verbally, it cannot combine. So Meimar answered, Lo shmili, I did not hear of this. Kalaima, meaning to say, Lo svirili, I don't hold what Abaya says. I disagree. So the Gemara asks the obvious question here, Elakashi Masnisin. But then how do we explain our Mishnah? The reason Abai said what he said is in order to explain our Mishnah. When our Mishnah says that one aid on a shtar is not good, it must be that the Mishnah was coming to say when it's one aid inside the shtar and one aid balpeh. Otherwise, there's no chiddush in the Mishnah. So how will you explain the Mishnah? So he answered him that Hokamashmalon, when the Mishnah adds and says that by a regular shtar, one aid in a shtar will be possible, what the Mishnah was trying to say by this is that the Shnayim b'mekusher, that when you have only two aidim that signed the tie document, ke'eid echad b'pashit, it'll be similar to a regular shtar that has one aid in it. Ma hasam, just like when you have a regular shtar with only one witness signed. Psula da'iraisa, this is pasul minat Torah. It says in the Torah pishnayim edim. So over there minat Torah it's pasul. Af hacha, so to here when it comes to the shtar mekusher with two edim in it, nami psula da'iraisa. The psul is da'iraisa. Now when the Gemara says psula da'iraisa, it doesn't actually mean that it's a psul minat Torah. It means that the chachamim pasuled it to the same extent like the shtar Pashut that only has one aid in it, that's pasul minat Torah. The psul that Chachamim pasul this get mekusher with two aidim is on the same level like the get pashut with one aid. What that would mean is, for example, regarding a mamzer, just like if you give a get and it only has one aid in it, so then the child is going to be a mamzer because the mother is still an Eishes Ish. So too regarding the get mekusher that only had two aidim in it, midrabanan, the child that's born is going to be a mamzer. They gave it the same level of psul like the get pashut with one aid. The Gemara continues and says, Teida. Ameim says, I'll prove to you that I'm right. And he brings another Ameira that said clearly like him. Because the Shalchu Mitam, they sent from there to say that Chavraya, that is, the Chavraya, the group of Talmidim that were learning, they in the Bismedrash, they sent to ask the question, Rabbi Yirmiyah. They sent to ask Rabbi Yirmiyah the following question. Now here the Rashbam brings interesting, as we'll see from the continuation of the Gemara as well, that this is connected to something that was mentioned towards the beginning of the Masechta, that Rabbi Yirmiyah was not together with all the group of Talmidim that were learning inside the Bismedrash. Why? Because he was sent out of the Bismedrash. There was an Ibaya, there was a certain question that he asked, that the Chachamim felt that he's bothering them with a question that doesn't really shouldn't be asked. So they sent him out of the Bismedrash. So after they sent him out of the Bismedrash, he was a very great Tana though, or an Amayra. So they sent him out of the Bismedrash to ask him the following question, which is the question that we're discussing here. Eid echad b'ksav, when you have a document and there's one aid that's signed in the shtar, ve'eid echad al peh, and one aid that's bal peh, ma'o sheyitztarfu. Can you combine these two edus that it would now be a kosher shtar? Now the Gemara explains how they asked this question to him. Ali with the Tanakama de Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha loiti bayalach. Now this is a machlekes and a braisa that was also mentioned earlier in the Masechta. So this machlekes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha is regarding edus. What happens if you have two edim that are testifying about so and so that he owes money, but they did not witness this thing together. One says, I saw Sunday that he borrowed money. The other eid comes and says, I saw Monday that he borrowed that amount of money. So they're both saying, now you combine these two edim, they're both saying that he owes $100, but they saw, one saw that he borrowed on Sunday, another saw he borrowed on Monday. So the Tanakama says you can't combine these two edim. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says, no, you could combine them. So according to the Tanakama of Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, leiti bayalach. So there's no shaila here when you have a shtar where one aid is in the shtar and one aid is just outside the shtar, is just speaking. You can't combine these two because dafil shnayim b'ksav v'shnayim al peh. Even if you have two that are signed in a document and two that are speaking to us, leimitztarfi. If they're not saying the same story, one is speaking about Sunday, one is speaking about Monday. Even though it's the same amount of money, it comes out to be the same conclusion. But they didn't witness it at the same time. That they can't be combined. So over here as well, when you have the shtar, one is inside the shtar, one is al peh, you can't combine these two. Okay, now the Shainim here clarify about this because seemingly over here, when one aid is signed in the shtar and one aid is signed by al peh, you can say that it's actually better than the case that the Tana Kama here was speaking about. Because over there, one was Sunday, one was Monday. Here, the aid that's in the shtar and the aid that's speaking to us verbally are both seemingly testifying about the same loan that happened on the same time on Sunday. It's just that one is written in the document and one is just speaking to us. So maybe here the Tanakama would agree that you could combine them. So there's a discussion in the Rishonim about this. Taisvis says, according to his pshat that he said before, that as I mentioned, that the aid bal peh is actually did not necessarily see the loan. The Eid Bal Peh is an Eid that just saw the Mesira of the Shtar. So you have one Eid that signed the document. You have another Eid that just saw the giving over of the Shtar. So therefore, you can't combine them according to the Tanakama. That's Pashit. According to Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, that's where you have the Sibaya. So right, because what does Rabbi Shua ben Karcha hold? Shnayim b'ksav, shnayim al peh. Would I say that according to Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, that holds that they have to. Rabbi Shua ben Karcha says that even if one is saying that I saw Sunday and one is saying that I saw Monday, it's fine. You can combine these two because they're saying the same, comes out to the same conclusion, even though they saw different times. But maybe I could say that when does Rabbi Shua say that Shnayim b'ksav, if they're both actually written into the shtar, or Shnayim al peh, or they're both speaking verbally, Hudim mitztarfi, then I could combine the two, even though they're saying a different story, but it comes to the same conclusion. If I have one that's signed in the document, and then one that's just talking to us about that he saw that the document was given over, so over here, maybe even Rabbi Shua ben Karcha would say that you can't combine these two to make it a kosher shtar. Or perhaps, there's no difference. Even Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, even in this case, where there's one inside the shtar and one speaking to us, it would combine as well. That was the shayla they asked Rabbi Yirmiyah regarding our case we're speaking about. And Shalach Lahu, Rabbi Yirmiyah answered, and he sent them to say, Ani eni kedai sheshalachtem li, I'm not befitting that you're sending me to ask me this question. Elo kach das talmidchem noite. This is what the opinion of your student, referring to himself, that this is the way it seems to me, sheyitzdarfo. That the aid, one aid written in the shtar, one aid that's bal peh verbally, can be combined. Exactly like our Maimer said that we could combine them. Now, Amalei, so now Abaye says, you're bringing me a proof that Rabbi Yirmiyah paskined like you, because of the story that you just said, that they asked him the question, and this is how we paskined. But Anan, Hachim Asninale, we actually learned that the question that was asked to Rabbi Yirmiyah was different. The friends of Rabbi Yirmiyah that were in the Besmedrish, they sent out to Rabbi Yirmiyah to ask him a different shayla. Shnayim shehidu, two that testified. Echad bebezdin zeh, one aid testified in one bezdin, echad bebezdin zeh, and another testified in a different bezdin. Mao sheyivoyu bezdin eitzel bezdin v'yitztarfu. Now, can you bring the judges of this bezdin and the judges of the other bezdin, and they should sit together, and together they can paskin based on this testimony, even though they this Bezdin only heard the testimony of one witness. The other one heard from one witness, but if you combine them together, so now you have the Bezdin together that heard the testimony of both. Could they be combined? So here again, the Gemara says that this will be based on a machlokes between the Tanakama and Rab Nosson. So Ali, with the Tanakama that Rab Nosson loytu bayilach. According to the Tanakama of Rab Nosson, this is not a shayla b'chlal. Why? So here again, there's a machlokes about this. According to the Tanakama of Rab Nosson, two Eidim, their testimony must be set together. You can't have one person walking to Bezdin in the morning and testifying, and the other person coming a few hours later to testify. They must come to Bezdin together. So according to him, there's no shayla about this case. Even if they're in the same Bezdin, if they're coming to testify in different times, they can't be combined. So definitely, if one is saying it in one Bezdin and one in another Bezdin, they can't be combined. The shayla is according to Rab Nosson's opinion. Because Rab Nosson says that if you have one aid that comes in the morning, another aid that comes a few hours later, if it's in the same Bezdin, we combine the two testimonies of these two aidim that came separately in the Bezdin. So here's the shayla. Do I say b'chad beidine hudum mitztarfi, that in one Bezdin they could be combined, their testimony? Aval betrei beidine, but if each testified in a different Bezdin, now loy mitztarfi, we're not going to bring this Bezdin together to combine to paskin based on the two aidim. Oidil maleishna. Or maybe there's no difference. We bring the Bezdin together, and now we have the full testimony of two Eidim. Now, and it was on this question that Rabbi Yirmiyah sent to answer. I'm not fitting that you're asking me this question. This is what the opinion of your student is leaning towards. That we could combine. The Bezdin now will sit together and can paskin. Now here the Gemara is going to continue and bring another two versions of what the question that was sent to Rabbi Yirmiyah that was outside the Besmedrash. Mar Bachia says that the question that was sent, that they asked him, was as follows. Also based here on this machlekes of, or on this opinion of Rab Nosson regarding Rab Nosson that says that the two Eidim do not have to testify together. So they sent him to ask him based on this. Shnaim she'idim bebezdin zeh, if two Eidim testified in one Bezdin, and then those two Eidim came and testified in a different Bezdin. Can you now bring one judge from each Bezdin to be mitzdaref? Now, others are greatest here actually in the Gemara, that these two Eidim testified in Bezdin 1, they came to testify in Bezdin 2, and then they came and testified in Bezdin 3. So now you want to take one judge of each one of these Batei Dinim and combine them together, and you have now three Dayanim. Each one heard the Eidos, but each one heard it separately in a different time when they were part of a different Bezdin. Now you're combining them together. So now I'll leave it at Rab Nosson. So here the Gemara actually says that it's not a shayla according to Rab Nosson. I'll leave it at Rab Nosson loytu bayilach. According to Rab Nosson, there's no shayla that this Bezdin, you can take one judge from each one of these three Batei Dinim and combine them together. Why? Because Hashte, Eidim mitzarfinon, Rab Nosson holds that the testimony itself of the Eidim, even when they testify separately, we combine them, the two testimonies, to be an Eidos, Dayanim Yibaye, regarding the judges then, just to give the psak, to combine them that heard the testimony, needless to say that they could be combined together. For the original testimony to be given properly, you can combine the Eidos. For sure, the judges, the paskin, you can combine them. The Tanakama of Rab Nosson. The shayla is according to the Tanakama of Rab Nosson that says that the testimony itself must be together. So do I say Eidim udulei mitzarfinon? Eidim, you cannot combine the testimony that was given separately. There were machmer, and it's learned out from a pasuk, or maybe it's a svara. There you can't combine it. Avol dayani mitzarfinon. But now the judges that heard proper testimony from both Eidim, you can take one from each Bezdin and combine them together. Or maybe according to the Tanakama of Nosson, there's no difference. Just like you can't combine Eidim, you can't combine a Bezdin as well. So Shalach Lahu again, Rabbi Yirmiyah answered them and he sent the lashon that we said before. Ani eni kedai shatem shlachtem li. I'm not befitting that you're sending me to ask me this question. Alakach das talmidchem neite. Your student, my opinion leans in this direction. She it's starful. That you could combine the three judges together to paskin here. The final version the Gemara here brings of what was the question that they asked Rabbi Yirmiyah that was outside the Besmedrash. Ravina says, Hachu shochalei. This was the shayla that they asked him. Shloisha sheyashvu l'kayim esashtar. if you had three, a bezdin that's sitting down to verify the signatures on a document. That always has to be done with every document that's brought into bezdin. Now what happened is the three were there, and there was the bezdin, and they verified it. But now, after you verify, you have to write that verification, which is called in the Gemara a ashrase or a hempik. So now one of these judges now passed away. So the question is, tzrichi lemichtav, is it not going to be required to write, when they write this verification, do they have to write, that when we verify this, we wore a court, there were three of us, and v'chad leisoi, and now one is not here, one passed away. You have to write this in order that people shouldn't think that this whole thing looks like a lie, because right now we see only two people here. So they have to write, no, that before there was three and now there's only two of us because one of them passed away. Or it's not necessary to write this, and that's not necessary to clarify. We're not chayshish that people are going to think that this is a lie and not you want to use this verification. So shalach lahu, and it was on this question that he answered and said, Ani eni kedai shatem shalachtem li, alekach das hamitchem noite shetzrichim lemichtav. They do have to write this, that b'meisav tlasa avina, we were three together, v'chad leisoi, and one of us is not here anymore, and yeah, you do have to write that into the shtar. Okay, now the Gemara concludes. He had different versions of what exactly Rabbi Yirmiyah was asked when he was outside the Bismedrish, and he gave them the answer. So what happened over here probably is that in the Bismedrish, they couldn't get the answer. And Rabbi Yirmiyah, which was outside, he's the one that gave them the answer. Now, Valdo, Ailu, Rabbi Yirmiyah, Bevei Medrasha. It was for this that they brought him back into the Bismedrish. So from Daf Chav Gimel until Daf Kuf Samachei, he was outside the Bismedrish. And then finally, after he gave this answer, he was brought back into the Bismedrish. Okay, stop over there for today.